Welcome everyone to this new episode of Rezal Vision. Today we're going to be doing another unboxing video. As most of you will know, today I've been using the Sunny Xbox One controller basically as my daily driver for gaming and pretty much gaming, but now sadly it has died. Rest in peace for Sunny. As such, I needed a new controller, and this time I wanted wireless. So I went for the EasySMX KC8236 wireless controller. Now, I'd never heard of EasySMX before, but on seeing many positive reviews on this controller, I decided to give it a try. So without further ado, let's get this bad boy open. Okay, so here we have the box. Simple little tab, there's no tape holding it down. It's got this EasySMX logo, which is on all of their products. Inside, I thought the controller was what it is underneath this. Or is it? No, it is so glossy. I thought this was sitting underneath plastic, but it's just sitting in this. So take that out. That's got a good weight to it. This is the wireless receiver, which I've not owned a wireless controller before. I read it's big comparatively, but it feels solid. I can't see that being any issues for me. I'm going to have it plugged in through my desk, so it's into a USB hub on my desk, or plugged into my Steam Link, so it's really not going to bother me at all. Comes with a micro USB charge cable, a opportunity to get a $10 voucher, which, cool, if their products are good I might look into that, and a user manual. Cool, and that is the box. Okay, so taking a look at the controller, doesn't appear to be any removable compartment, as the battery looks to be built in, which is nice. Don't want to have to be dealing with having to take out and change batteries. The feel of it in my hand feels pretty much like an Xbox controller. I would have preferred a more matte finish on the exterior, but honestly, it's got these sort of faux leather grips at the side, which help it feel a bit more grippy. That's some nice feeling on the trigger action, and the sticks feel like they've got some nice resistance as well. All of the buttons feel good. Oh, comes on immediately, so it comes with some charge, which I don't have the receiver plugged in yet, but I will test that shortly. This is a comparatively side by side against the Speedlink one. It looks like they're probably from a similar mold, slightly different, but you can definitely see that they were going for the Xbox 360 design. Comparatively, these triggers feel very loose. The sticks don't have as much resistance to them. A bit louder on the in clicks, but I'm hoping that proves better. This shows to have a multi-directional D-pad, but I don't think they ever functioned as an 8-way. So, just a 4-way hat there. Okay, let's go over some specifications. So it connects using 2.4 gig wireless technology and has an approximate range of about 10 meters, which is about 32.8 feet. I'll be checking that, but other reviews I've seen on it seems to hold true to that. It can be used on PC, Android phones, if you have an OTC, I think it's OTG connector, and you can use it on tablets as well. And it states it can be used with the PlayStation 3, though you won't get the correct button layout. It does have dual vibration, takes roughly about 2 hours to charge, and has an operating battery life of 8 hours or more, which again, from what I've read, that should hold true, but I'll be doing my own tests. Should work on all forms of Windows, from Windows XP up through Windows 10, and just needs a USB port on your device to work.
Okay, so now I'm going to be doing some testing of the dead zone responsiveness on the EasySMX controller and on my old Speedlink controller, which I never really used much because it wasn't very good, and that's why I went for the Rezal controller instead, which we can't test because that's now in the bin. So let's give this a test. So this will be synced to the footage of the Gamepad Tester website, and so you'll be able to see the responsiveness of me moving the sticks and using the buttons compared to how it shows on the screen. So I'm just going to move that slightly there, and you can see that barely moving the stick at all does trigger a response, and you can see that the dead zones are very minimal. It's really not bad at all. It's got very slight dead zones, but compared to older controllers I've used, this is really responsive. And doing the same on the right one, the right stick has slightly larger dead zone, but in moving the controller ever so gently, you can see that it's picking it up as well. It just takes a fraction longer to pick that up. And then testing the triggers, which are important for racing games in my opinion, because typically you'll have acceleration and brake set to these two back ones. So in pushing this one down, the dead zone on the right trigger is probably a little larger than I'd expect. Like, there's no response on screen till about there. So you do have a very slight dead zone, but past that you seem to get a full range of motion. And that's probably just to give your finger some cushioning space before going into it and letting you relax there slightly. And on the other side, this one actually has a smaller dead zone and picks it up there. So the left trigger is actually, like, the entire left hand side of this controller seems to have less dead space than the right hand side, which I don't know why, but that's fine. The buttons are all super responsive. Like, as far as I can tell with my vision, that's instantaneous. I press it and it flashes, which is what you want. So now I'm going to test it with my other controller. Okay, so this is using the Speedlink controller and testing the dead zone there. Firstly, it doesn't seem particularly centered, and you can see I get to a bit further along before it starts responding, and then it just snaps that direction. It's really not very good. Going the opposite direction though seems to be way more responsive than going left. Going down is pretty bad. Like, I'm having to move my finger quite a lot before it really starts responding, and up it just moving super fast up. Testing on the right stick is, again, the dead zone is, though probably realistically wouldn't cause many more issues, it doesn't feel as smooth. The control isn't as nice, and I definitely found this when playing Neo, when going up against, there's a particular Okami on a bridge that I just couldn't defeat using this controller, but on my second attempt using the new controller I could, and you can just see there, like, I'm moving it quite a lot and it takes ages before I even get anywhere. Now these back triggers are super weak feeling, there's no resistance there compared to the other one, and there before I get a response. So just a sideways view there. There. That's, I think, more than the other controller. And beyond that, the range of motion just doesn't feel as smooth. It feels squeaky on the controller. On the opposite shoulder, about there. So the dead zone, again, on the left hand side isn't as bad as the right hand side, but just to feel of these triggers feel worse. Apart from that, this controller has a bug where every now and again the rumble pad inside will just stop vibrating the whole controller madly and won't stop. And another issue I had playing Sonic R Racers Transformed, the acceleration would open start menu, and there seemed absolutely no way to change that binding. I could not use this controller in that game, which was frustrating and meant that during a LAN party I'd taken this controller to use for that game, couldn't do it. It serves me as a backup controller for short periods of time, but even in the time I was using it between my Vasani dying and the EasySMX controller coming, I hated it. So I wouldn't recommend that, but this, big thumbs up.
Okay, let's test out the controller in game. We're going to be using Dragonball FightersZ to see how this goes. Okay, let's get straight into a rock. Yeesh. Oh no, we're all gonna die. Okay, so I'm testing out the controller in this scene, and it's super responsive. The dead zones are barely there at all. It's like really nice. The extra tension you get on the thumbsticks is really helping with precise movements. Just lets me just get those fine little tweaks in. It's really nice. And yeah, it's when I'm getting these combinations off, it is super easy. There's like no delay, it's super nice, the control feels nice in the hand, the buttons are responsive, the pressure's all very nice. This controller is, of those I've used, probably one of the nicest. I've also used a controller in games like Neo, where it's helped me defeat bosses which previously I've been struggling on and hadn't been able to defeat. So yeah, this controller is absolutely wonderful. It's just a pleasure to use. Having completed some further tests, I can confirm that the controller works both on my Steam Link and on my tablet using a USB to micro USB converter, and it works perfectly on both, and the range is pretty good as well. I was able to use the controller from across my house, which I'm never going to need more than that, so I didn't test any further. But yeah, I'd absolutely recommend this controller. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe so that you get notified for future videos. Thank you very much, and see you next time.